My name is Callie Peterson. I graduated in 2005. I'm a project manager for the Fall Prevention Center of Excellence, specifically the Geriatric Care Education Clinical Center over at the Department of Veterans Affairs.
So Callie, tell me how you got involved in the field of aging.
From birth, actually. My mother's in the field of aging, and I refused to go to preschool. So instead of doing that, she would take me to the adult day care facility that she ran at the time. So I spent my childhood with older adults. I also grew up in a multi-generational home with my grandparents, so I got to watch the sandwich generation, in a sense. And when I graduated undergrad, I decided that I really did want to pursue it as a career.
Okay, Callie, what led you from your mother's adult daycare center, you being a preschooler at the time, to USC?
Well, I'll start off by saying that it is the premier university in the field of gerontology, so it was very well known. But to go back, I was very fascinated with older adults at a young age. An interesting story, I would ask this one older gentleman to take out his teeth, and he would do it on command, which I thought was wonderful. And his teeth looked very different than mine, so I was fascinated by the differences between young and old at a young age. I went to pursue mass communications in my undergraduate career, and I found that communication was something that intrigued me, and how we communicate as a family, how we learn to communicate in different ways as we age. When I graduated, I started working in the field of geriatric case management, and that led me to realize that I needed to get a higher education degree, and started researching and saw that USC was the premier university in gerontology.
What made you ask this older gentleman to take out his teeth?
Well, I was a very flamboyant child. One of my favorite activities was to put on a ballerina suit and dance for the crowd. And I think any child likes a lot of attention, and older adults love to give attention, especially to a little kid in a ballerina suit. But I was also a very interested child, liked to ask a lot of questions. I think that's probably why I went into research. And I just asked him, and he said sure, and plopped him right there on the table.
When you graduated from USC, what did you do next?
I took my first position in Washington, D.C. with the White House Conference on Aging as a policy analyst, and it was a wonderful opportunity, and I came on board a few months before the conference, and they threw me in with their policy team because I was the only gerontologist on staff. And so I was brought into a circle of individuals that had been in government for years, but because I had this amazing education from USC, they gave me the opportunity to work on their very small team, a team of about 5 people.
Oh, that's very impressive that you left school and you went right to the White House, huh? What happened after the White House Conference on Aging?
I returned to California, and I took a position with the Department of Veterans Affairs. They have a division called the Geriatric Research Education and Clinical Center, which is a consortium member of the Fall Prevention Center of Excellence, which is tied to the University of Southern California.
And what do you do for that group?
The Fall Prevention Center of Excellence has just embarked on a new project, a 6-site model project in which they're developing fall prevention programs with 6 senior centers, and they were looking for a project manager who could facilitate these programs, as well as assist in 2 research projects that are evaluating these model programs.
So who funds this project?
The Archstone Foundation funded the Fall Prevention Center of Excellence in general, but in addition, they provided additional funds for this special project, which is the InStep program, Increasing Stability Through Evaluation and Practice, which was to develop 6 multifactorial fall prevention programs that include a home modification aspect, so assessing your home and altering it to reduce your risk of falling, an exercise component, as well as a medical risk component, which has been proven to be effective in clinical settings, but not in the community.
So tell me a typical day in your life.
Well, I get up rather early because in Los Angeles we do have a commute, and I'm at work by 6:45 in the morning. And my day is filled with institutional review boards. It's filled with multiple senior center executive directors and the 3 individuals that I work with to ensure these programs run smoothly. I have 2 model program coordinators that actually work on site, so interfacing with them, as well as a data coordinator that is responsible for all the research aspects. And in my spare time, I make sure that the co-directors of the Fall Prevention Center of Excellence know exactly what I'm doing and ensure them that I am on target.
Wow, so it looks like you're running the whole operation.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say that I am a key component to a small aspect of the Fall Prevention Center of Excellence, but it is a very intriguing project that is very dynamic and requires someone that has not only administrative and management skills, but also really understands aging from a personal and professional perspective. And one of the benefits of getting the degree in gerontology is that I'm perfect for this position.
Would you recommend a career in gerontology for others?
I would. I think the reason it's something that I would recommend is a number of reasons. A lot of younger individuals define success by having a position that affords you a lifestyle that you would enjoy. And as we all know, the baby boomers are on the cusp of entering into retirement, and there are many opportunities for positions in different fields, whether that's medicine, psychology, research, law, or even just business kind of program management. Aging is going to infiltrate every sector of our society, so you will always have a job. You will always be needed. So if that's important to you and your career plans, I would definitely recommend it. From a personal level, you're doing good for society. I think a lot of people have jobs that make them a lot of money, but when we die, we don't wish that we had more money. We want to know that we did good things in our life. And if you are helping families and individuals age with dignity, whether that's working on a program that supports older adults or working in policy or helping them with their legal problems, you've done something good for society. And so I think from a personal standpoint, that's very important. And I would recommend to anybody who agrees with me that this would be a wonderful career.
If someone was interested in a career in gerontology, where would you recommend they go?
Well, obviously, I have a relationship with the University of Southern California, so I would recommend USC. But I would recommend USC not just because it is the premier school for gerontology, obviously having the longest running program, but because of the opportunities USC offers in general. I get back to the dual degree program, which I think is very important. If you're interested in law, you're interested in business, you're interested in program management, social work, they offer you the opportunity to do dual degrees at the graduate level. So I would tell people to come to USC. There are other wonderful institutions that are on different coasts and different states, which you could pursue, but I think that if you want to have access to the Trojan family and the networking opportunities it provides, it definitely helped me get the job that I am in today. I would recommend they go to USC.
Are there any specific courses you'd recommend students take while they're here doing their degree?
Yes. I think one of my favorite courses was Gero 540, which is aging policy. When I took the program, it was one of the first classes. It was very challenging, but it basically gave you a history lesson on aging policy in this country and how we treat aging from the perspective of programs and legislation. It also taught you how to write papers, whether that's a memo, which we all have to employ in a business setting, to a research paper. I also appreciated the integrated course when you graduate. I'm forgetting the number at this time, but Dr. Knight taught it when I was here, which required you to integrate psychology and sociology, policy, as well as the biological aspects of aging into a very large review paper. But really, I think the lesson was to teach you that aging cannot be compartmentalized into just a psychological issue or a policy issue or a biological issue, that they're all integrated. And you really, as a gerontologist, need to see that and express that in your work.
What are the ethical issues that you face in your position?
The major ethical issue that I face in my position currently is we are working with institutional review boards, and their primary interest is to ensure that we are protecting the subjects in our study. When you're working with older adults, sometimes they don't have the capacity to give consent, so you have to ensure that they do. But that's a fine line, because you don't want to treat older adults as if they're children, and you don't want to second guess everything they say in the back of your mind, thinking, can they really be saying this from a legal perspective, from an ethical perspective? So the situation I'm in is trying to convey that to the people that I work with, that we have to ensure that we are using individuals that can actually participate, but not to treat them like children, to treat them with dignity and respect. And if they seem on a number of different levels, which have been approved by a number of institutions, to give consent, then they can. That would be the major ethical issue that I personally deal with.
Tell me about your internship.
Well, to complete my degree, I had to do, I believe it was about 480 hours, about a 4-month internship. And I chose to leave my internship to the end of my program. And I actually applied for and was accepted to complete an internship with the United Nations in New York, which was a wonderful opportunity. And I have to say that I was surprised when I got there that I was really the only person with a background in aging. And the United Nations had not made aging a top priority. But I have to say that as soon as somebody heard there was an intern on the floor that had aging experience, I started having individuals from multiple countries, India, China, Germany, France, approaching me and wanting to discuss aging issues. And I also got to learn about lots of programs in different countries that benefited older adults. So it was a wonderful experience in the sense of seeing how a world body works. My interest in aging has always been in program and policy analysis. But it was also personally very gratifying to see that we may have different color skin, speak different languages, but that aging is really universal, and there are issues that we all face as a world community.
If a student was starting in the master's degree in gerontology, what advice would you give them?
To get involved. This is one building on a very large campus. There are amazing opportunities here at USC. Find out what other groups are doing, what organizations you can join. The Gerontology Student Association is very active on campus. I would suggest that they take classes in other programs, to use their electives wisely, to see what they're being taught within this program, which is very all-encompassing and does prepare you for a career. But if you do have a special interest, whether that is law or public administration, to look at the other master's programs and to use them to support your professional goals.
Did you find people out there questioning what gerontology was when you graduated?
Yes. When I say I'm a gerontologist, or aging is my field, and especially if I use the word gerontology, I usually get a blank stare, and I can see them trying to process what it is. And then I say, you know, my interest is aging. That's my specialty. And then there's kind of overwhelming feeling usually comes over people, because I can see them thinking about their own grandparents or the aging individuals in their family, and they immediately start asking me questions. You almost effectively overnight become a very popular person in your family and your community. And I get a lot of questions that I don't have answers to. I'm not an expert in all aspects of aging, but I definitely have lots of contacts because of going to this university, and I can push people in the right directions to get the answers they need. And aging tends to be a very vague area. We don't talk about it all the time. We don't always understand the programs that are offered in our community, because we don't start off old, we start off young. And so you actually learn in this process, and we tend not to know about what's out there until we need it. So I find it's very helpful to be a young person who knows a lot about aging programs and really just the physicality of aging. It's very nice to be able to say to the older woman in the gym when she starts asking me about her skin or why it's not healing as quickly, or this incident where she almost fell, and I can advise her to talk to experts or I can give her some advice that I know is good advice, such as changing something in her home, or maybe she should start taking a chair exercise class, or talking to her doctor about medications she's using to see if there's an interaction. I'm by no means an expert, but I'm a jack of all trades, so to speak, and I am that way because of this program. It is a program that really demands you to become very knowledgeable on a number of different issues so that when you leave, you can answer people's questions, representing not only the university, but this program with dignity.
So Callie, what would you add to our program?
Well, I think this is a very solid program. One of the benefits of doing the dual degree for me is that I got a very research-oriented degree here in gerontology, where the focus is looking at literature and research studies and pulling from it how to do things better and to learn in general the issues surrounding aging. The benefit of getting a master's in public administration, which is my other degree, is that really the focus was management in the public sector. And most aging programs are in the public sector and are definitely connected to the public sector, even if they're privately managed. So it was very important to me to have that understanding. The thing that I would change in this program is that we really only had one class that focused on how to manage aging programs, how to be a professional in the aging field. And I think that unless we really support students doing a dual degree or taking multiple classes in a management type program, that it would be wonderful to integrate that into the master's level, because you do get a handful of students that do want to go on and do research only in a PhD, but you also get a lot of students who really want to be a professional, and they need those management skills, they need those communication skills. So classes that would help us hone and learn how to manage, how to be a great administrator, how to be a good communicator would be a great benefit.